They shined under the brightest lights, adored on runways, stages, and screens. But behind the glamour lived a silent killer, an illness that starved not only their bodies but also their futures. Anorexia nervosa, often disguised as discipline or beauty, took them to the edge until there was no return. These stories are not about fame. They are about lives cut short, stolen by a relentless obsession with perfection. And tonight, we begin with one of the most heartbreaking losses in the fashion world. One, Ana Carolina Reston. Ana Carolina Reston was the face of elegance in Brazil. Tall, striking, and only 21 years old, she had already walked for brands like Giorgio Armani and worked with prestigious agencies such as Ford and Elite. On the runway, she seemed unstoppable. But behind the flawless photos, a devastating truth was unfolding. In 2004, after being told in China that she was too fat for modeling, her descent began. Those words pierced deeper than anyone could imagine. By 2006, Ana weighed just 88 pounds at a height of 5'8". Her body mass index had dropped to a dangerously low 14.1. Doctors warned her, but the cycle of anorexia and bulimia was already destroying her from the inside. On November 15, 2006, the glamour world was shaken. Ana died of complications caused by severe malnutrition. Her mother's words still echo today. Take care of your children, because losing them is something you can never repair. No amount of money is worth the life of a child. Ana's death became a symbol, a chilling reminder that behind the dazzling lights of fashion, the pursuit of thinness can cost the ultimate price, life itself. 2. Luisel Ramos. In August 2006, the fashion world witnessed one of its most shocking tragedies. Luisel Ramos, a 22-year-old model from Uruguay, had just finished walking the runway at Montevideo's Fashion Week. The cameras had flashed, the music had pulsed, and the crowd applauded her elegance. But as she stepped backstage, her body collapsed. Moments later, she was gone. Luisel's father, a former national soccer player for Uruguay, later revealed the heartbreaking truth. His daughter had been surviving on nothing more than lettuce leaves and Diet Coke for months. Her weight had plummeted, and her body mass index had fallen to a critically low level of just 14.5. By the time she walked that runway, her body could no longer keep up with the demands of the fashion world. Her sudden death shook the industry. For the first time, during a live fashion week, the fatal cost of perfection was impossible to ignore. Within weeks, Madrid Fashion Week announced a ban on models with dangerously low BMI levels. Italy soon followed, outlawing the infamous size 0 from its runways. But for Luisel's family, no rule or law could bring her back. She was only 22, with a future that should have been filled with light. Instead, her story became a warning, a reminder that applause and flashing lights mean nothing if they demand a life in return. 3. Eliana Ramos. 6 months after Luisel's shocking death, tragedy struck the Ramos family again. On February 13, 2007, Eliana Ramos, the younger sister of Luisel, was found lifeless in her grandparents' home in Montevideo. She was only 18 years old. Eliana had been following in her sister's footsteps, carving out her own path as a rising model. She had the height, the beauty, and the promise of a long career. But just like Luisel, she was also under immense pressure to stay impossibly thin. In the weeks before her death, many close to her noticed how drastically she had lost weight. The official cause pointed to heart failure linked to severe malnutrition. For the Ramos family, it was a nightmare repeating itself. 2 young daughters, 2 bright futures, both stolen in less than a year. Their grandmother, who discovered Eliana's body, would later describe the scene in words that carried unbearable pain. "This happened to me twice. I walked in, and she just wouldn't wake up." The deaths of Luisel and Eliana sent shockwaves through Latin America and beyond. 2 coffins side by side told a story louder than any runway. Together, the sisters became a symbol of an industry's darkest truth, that the demand for perfection can kill, and silence is often chosen over accountability. 4. Lina Zavaroni. She was only 10 years old when she stunned the United Kingdom with a voice that seemed far too powerful for such a small child. Lina Zavaroni's debut album, Ma, He's Making Eyes at Me, shot straight to the top of the charts, making her the youngest person ever to achieve that kind of success. She was a child star with a gift that promised a lifetime of music. But fame at such a young age came with a crushing price. By 13, Lena was already battling anorexia nervosa. The pressure of performing, the demand to always look perfect on stage, and the scrutiny of growing up in the public eye pushed her into a spiral that she could never escape. Her weight dropped alarmingly, at times to just 55 pounds. Hospitalizations followed, along with long periods when her body was too frail to continue her music career. Friends tried to reach her. Singer Lulu recalled working with Lena and being shocked by her fragile frame. "I saw the signs," she admitted later, "and I wish I had done more." But the disease was relentless, pulling Lena deeper into its grip year after year. On October 1st, 1999, at just 35 years old, Lena Zavaroni's fight came to a tragic end. Her father, Victor, later spoke with both pride and heartbreak. "I never expected my daughter to die so young, but I'm proud she is still remembered. I hold on to the happy moments." Lena's story remains a haunting reminder of what child prodigies often endure. Talent that dazzles the world, but under a spotlight so harsh it can burn them out long before their time. 5. Isabel Caro. In the world of fashion, she was unforgettable. Not for the glamour of the runway, but for the raw, brutal honesty of her image. Isabel Caro, a French model and actress, became the face of a global campaign that forced the world to confront anorexia. In 2007, at just 27 years old, she posed nude for photographer Oliviero Toscani. But there was no beauty retouching, no carefully staged elegance. What people saw was her frail, emaciated body, bones sharp under paper-thin skin. It was shocking, it was heartbreaking, and it was impossible to ignore. Isabel's struggle with anorexia had begun at just 13. At her lowest point, she weighed barely 55 pounds. In 2006, she slipped into a coma from malnutrition, narrowly escaping death. She tried to fight back, writing her memoir, "The Little Girl Who Didn't Want to Get Fat," and appearing on television programs to raise awareness. Her message was brutally clear. Dieting and beauty standards were not harmless. They could kill. Yet despite her courage, her body had endured too much damage. On November 17, 2010, Isabel Caro died at the age of 28. The official cause was never fully confirmed, but years of starvation had broken her body beyond repair. Her acting coach, Daniel Duval, summed up her passing with bitter truth. Her death was a total waste. She had been sick for far too long. Isabel's legacy endures not in glossy magazine covers, but in the warning she left behind. She put her suffering on display, so the world could no longer turn away. Her story stands as a painful reminder that silence and denial can be as deadly as the disease itself. 6. Jeremy Gillitzer. For years, Jeremy Gillitzer was the picture of male beauty: chiseled features, an athletic body, and a smile that seemed to belong on every magazine cover. He was the kind of man people assumed had it all. But behind the flawless photos was a devastating secret. Jeremy was fighting a disease most never associated with men. He struggled with anorexia for years, a battle that stripped away the very image that had made him famous. His once muscular frame wasted away until he weighed barely 90 pounds. In his own words, he admitted, "I don't have any body fat. Basically, I'm just existing." The toll was visible to anyone who saw him, but the shame and silence surrounding eating disorders in men made his fight even lonelier. Those closest to him watched helplessly. His mother, Diane, remembered her final words to him: "I love you." She didn't know that would be their last goodbye. By the end, Jeremy's body was so frail that every movement, every breath, looked like a struggle. When he died in 2010, at just 38 years old, he weighed only 66 pounds. His death shattered a dangerous myth: that eating disorders are a women's disease. Harvard studies later confirmed that nearly a quarter of anorexia cases are men, a fact Jeremy had tried to highlight simply by existing in a body that told the truth too painfully. Jeremy Gillitzer's story is a reminder that anorexia does not discriminate. It can destroy men and women alike, and the silence surrounding it is often as deadly as the illness itself. 7. Valeria Levitin. She was once a healthy young woman from Russia, full of life and promise, but cruel words from classmates calling her too fat carved deep scars into her mind. What began as a simple diet to gain acceptance spiraled into a lifelong battle with anorexia. Valeria Levitin would one day become known to the world as the thinnest woman alive, a title that was less fame than a curse. At her worst, Valeria weighed just 55 pounds. Her body mass index dropped to an unimaginable 7.6, a number so low that doctors struggled to comprehend how she could still be alive. Her skin clung tightly over fragile bones, and every movement seemed painful. But the cruelest twist was not only her suffering, it was that others began to idolize it. Young women struggling with eating disorders wrote to her, calling her an inspiration, saying they wished to look like her. Horrified, Valeria turned her story into a warning. She spoke openly, pleading with them. "I don't want to teach you how to die. This is not beauty, this is not happiness, this is death." Despite her efforts, the illness never released its grip. In 2013, at the age of 40, Valeria Levitin died. Her legacy is not one of fashion or glamour, but of caution. She became a symbol of how the pursuit of a false ideal can erase a life entirely, leaving behind only a heartbreaking reminder of what was lost. 7 lives, 7 stories, all cut short by the same silent killer. From glamorous runways in Brazil to the bright lights of Scotland, from Paris campaigns to American magazine covers, each of these stars carried dreams that should have lasted a lifetime. Instead, they were consumed by an illness that hid behind beauty, discipline, and perfection. Anorexia nervosa is not just a word, it is a war, a battle that drains the body, clouds the mind, and steals futures in silence. Anna Carolina Reston, Luisel and Eliana Ramos, Lena Zavaroni, Isabel Caro, Jeremy Gillitzer, Valeria Levitin, their names remind us that applause cannot heal and fame cannot protect. Their stories are warnings, not just for the world of fashion and entertainment, but for all of us. The pursuit of perfection can kill, and behind every flawless image, there may be a life on the edge of collapse. So, as we remember them, we also face a question. How many more must be lost before we learn that beauty is not measured by bones, but by life itself? If these stories moved you, share this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us in uncovering the truths that others try to hide. Because remembering their stories may one day save another.